going on, guys? Boley here. We are back with another video on our favorite lake. Hi, Tom. Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? Today we are back with another video. It is me. We got Mitch. We got Surly. We are out here. It's a beautiful day. Well, it is now a beautiful day. It was snowing up until like 15 minutes ago. But we're out here. We're up in northern Wisconsin. We are much anticipating the walleye opener, which is still probably, what is it, like 2 weeks?
Weeks away.
But who's counting, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, you can't fish walleyes. We've been obviously catching a ton of smallmouth, been catching crappies, been catching a little bit of everything up here. But excellent opportunity. It's kind of like when you go on like Amazon or something and you fill your cart up, but you don't buy anything. You know what I'm saying?
I never do that.
It's kind of like that. You'd be like a outdoor fitness type of website guy. But anyways, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna fill up the cart, even though we're not gonna purchase anything. We're gonna come out here. We're gonna graph around the side imaging, show you guys a bunch of spots that walleyes are right now, where they're gonna be in a couple weeks. We're gonna show you what they look like. We're gonna show you the hummingbird settings, which is one of the most important questions and often questions you get asked. We're gonna show you the power of the hummingbird helix and scout out some walleyes. And I think we're gonna try to put a video camera on them too. To see if we can get the underwater camera down and like actually look at some fish. It's kind of difficult when they're up in like 5-7 feet of water to get a camera to them. There's a few tricks that I've learned over the years to do this, but that's kind of the plan. It should be a cool video. We're gonna go kind of describe some of the spots we're fishing, show you the side imaging shots, show you the settings, and hopefully should be a very informational video. Mitchell, anything to say? Don't tell me nothing.
No, we also might go catch some smallies too afterwards.
Yeah, good point. I think I mean, you're already out here. Might as well set the hook a few times, but you know, we'll kind of show you basically, I guess, where we're looking for walleyes, where we're looking for smallmouth, and hopefully we'll set the hook on a few smallmouth today. Stay tuned. All right, we're on spot number 1 here, and I already did the liberty of taking you guys a screenshot. Big shallow flat here, right? Water temps, just to put it in perspective, we got water temperatures that are between 42, 43, 44 degrees. Now the water's probably cooled down a little bit in the last few days because we had just a ridiculous cold front preceded by incredibly warm weather. So when water temps are in this range, generally between like 32 and let's say 48, their location is largely dictated by their spawning cycle. Where are they actually spawning and doing a lot of that stuff, which is generally in shallow water. Spring is dominated by shallow water bites. Walleyes can be found generally shallower in the spring than they can the rest of the year, which is very cool. Obviously, opportunity to fish, and one of the reasons many of us love fishing spring. But because they're found in shallow water, the number one way you're going to find these fish is with side imaging. It's not going to be sonar, it's not going to be down imaging, it's going to be side imaging. Those fish in 7, 8, 9, 10 feet of water, which are pretty common depths we'll fish in the spring, will not show up on sonar because they'll be very close to the bottom. A fish in 28 feet will generally hang a little bit higher off the bottom and you'll see them. It's very difficult to get on top of these fish in 7 feet of water because they'll spook. And so side imaging is king, something that allows you to see out side to side. Now, most of the time I like to set my side imaging kind of like 80 feet, 90 feet, 100 feet, kind of somewhere right in there. If you're a guy who's going to be doing a lot of fishing in like 4, 5, 3 feet of water for walleyes, like maybe in a river system or something like that, I would probably hone that in a little bit. It's more difficult to see very far side to side, the shallower and shallower you get. But a lot of us, we can set these things at 90 feet, 100 feet and go from there. So we're cruising into this first flat here. Big shoreline flat. Another big locational key in the spring. They're awfully honest. A lot of times dominated by shoreline bites. I'm not necessarily looking for the little hump out in the middle of the lake surrounded by 50 feet of water that comes up to 3 feet. Most of the time these are shoreline relating bites, and you'll see this a lot in the late fall. A lot of times the best bites are shoreline related bites, and then again in the spring are very much shoreline related bites. And we're cruising around here. There's some weeds on this, there's some rocks on this, there's some sand on this, and when we start seeing fish, we'll let you know. So a lot of times as you're cruising around, you're gonna see fish. And we're already seeing a few fish, just kind of like fish here, fish here, fish here, not really a concentration. It's much more difficult, obviously, to get around a concentration of fish as opposed to just a few random fish on the side imaging, right? So we're looking for just kind of a big school of fish. And like happens many times in the spring, as you can progressively get shallower, that water's gonna warm up a little bit, which is generally a good sign of a spot that's gonna hold some fish. And a lot of that's dictated by wind and stuff like that. But our water is about a degree warmer up here than it was kind of out in the basin. And right now we're just looking for a pot on side imaging. So I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of you right here. We're actually on plain sand right now, and this doesn't look too bad really right here. What you're gonna see is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so now I got a real good pot of fish off the right side of my boat. And this is on plain sand. It's actually in a neck down, kind of a saddle between 2 humps here. I'll take another screenshot. So right now off the right, this is looking really good, and it's actually really starting to look really good right now. I'll take yet another screenshot for you guys. Now this is what I would call a loaded graph. This is exactly what we want to see, right? These fish are up here on plain sand, which is pretty common in the spring on a lot of these big flats. And like I said, very shallow up here, shallower behind us, and these fish are right on a connecting piece, kind of between these two very shallow pieces of structure, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a waypoint on this, and that's gonna pop right up on my graph that's rocking my GPS right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop back through, and we're gonna try to get some good underwater footage of these fish here. Now in this lake, there's normally a lot of smallmouth around right in with the walleyes this time of year. So we'll kind of see what we see here in a second. All right, guys, I am too sorry. It is too windy out, and the fish keep spooking away from the camera. We're fishing really clear water. You can pretty much see the bottom and the depth in which we're looking for. So we'll just have to show you the fish on side imaging. There won't be much of a underwater video. Otherwise, I can show you what the spots look like, but I can also describe it to you. And it looks like sand here. All right, so the next thing which we're gonna look at, we're gonna kind of look at 3 structural elements where you find a lot of fish this year. All of them are shallow water. Pretty much all can be found on big flats, because flats are just a super productive time this time of year. And the other one is an inside weed edge. Now, are these fish relating to the weeds? Are they just looking for some kind of cover up on the sand where they really want to be? It doesn't really matter. But a lot of times you hear a lot of talk about weed edges, and most people assume, like in a lake like this, where those weeds might grow from 8 feet to like 16 feet, that you fish in 16 feet. When the reality is, in the spring, anytime these fish can be very shallow, that inside weed edge is the place to be. You might have rock, you might have weeds, or you might have rock, you might have sand, but a lot of times it's gonna be very barren, and then you'll meet that inside weed edge and the fish will be right there. And that's the next thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna kind of cruise around this next flat we're on here, and we're gonna look for some fish in this situation where there's kind of a weed edge and those fish right on the inside, and we'll show you them when we get to them. And this, you know, it's not like this is an automatic thing. We're not just coming out here like, oh, that school of fish there, there, and there, and we'll be done. Every day when you come out here, you just generally start, looking for fish, no matter how many times you fished a certain body of water. All right, so we're cruising around here looking for fish on these inside weed edges, and we have found the absolute mother load of fish right here. I mean, this is a mega school of fish. So I am up shallow right now. I'm in like 8 feet of water on the sand. Now, as I keep driving out, we're gonna see these fish, and I'll take a screenshot for you. There, look at that massive amount of fish off the right side. I mean, that is just exactly what every single walleye fisherman wants to see right there. And as I keep cruising out, what we're gonna see is in a second here, I'm gonna be out in these weeds. And the weed line's kind of running like this in front of me. And as progressive as it gets deeper here, we're gonna meet this weed edge. And you'll see, but these fish are up in plain sand right now on the inside of a weed edge. And I just kind of squared up with this pot of fish again, and I'll take another screenshot. But this is just an absolute massive school of walleyes. There's probably some smallmouth in here. I mean, they're still going. All right, here's your screenshot. That is just absolutely insane how many fish are right there. All right, so now you can see we just met the weed edge. So the weeds are just, I'll take another screenshot for you guys, but the weeds just chimed in off the right side here. All those fish are on the shallower section. You can tell by the way that side imaging is sloped that those fish are up shallow, and then you meet that weed edge. You can see the weed edge kind of tucked around out here on our right, and just that massive school of fish inside that weed edge. All right, guys, so we're gonna look at another one of these kind of large flat areas, and we'll see what fish are on. If they're on sand, there's a little bit of rock here. There's just kind of a lot going on this little spot here. So anytime I see fish, I'll kind of stop and take a screenshot. As long as it's more than a couple fish. I would say, as long as it's a pod big enough to want to fish, I will take a picture for you. We're just kind of getting into it here. I've got a lot of weeds off my left and off my right. And you can see where I'm kind of coming into. There's a large void on the inside of this weed edge on the right side of me here. And I'm just kind of progressively getting shallower. All right, so we're already seeing a large pocket of fish off the left side of the boat. Now this is gonna be a cool screenshot because they're right in the void of a weed area here. And that's how you see fish set up. You can tell those weeds are real thick, and those fish are in just a void right there on the outside of that weed edge, actually on this large shallow flat right here. So we're gonna keep cruising around, see what we see. A couple fish way off my right, up in some sand, not really super concerning.
Just your classic walleye spot.
Mm-hmm.
Just
anytime you have a spot that has both weeds, sand, rock, large flat, there's almost always going to be fish on these kind of spots in this early season period. Really from now until I'd probably say like early June. All right, so here's another screenshot. We kind of lost our weeds, but on the outside of this weed edge here, you're seeing a lot of fish up on this sand flat. There's some close to me, there's some a ways away from me. Most of them are off my left. I'll take another screenshot. This one should show it a lot better here. And that's definitely a real good pot of fish that you would definitely want to fish. There's actually some old like logs and cribs on this spot, and it appears there's a bunch of fish around those as well here. Still a bunch of fish off the left side of my boat. I'll go a little bit farther to see if it starts looking better. Oh yeah, I'd say it's looking better, huh, Mitchell?
A couple, 2-3 fish there.
So there's a very big pot of fish off the left side of the boat right now. I'm sitting in 11, 12 feet of water. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot. There's a little bit of weeds right under me right now. There's a little bit of chunk rock off my left. There's some old logs and cribs off my left, and there's also a big pot of fish right there.
Just a lot going on down there.
Yeah, a lot going on in this screenshot. And a lot of times on these kind of spots, you'll have both smallmouth and walleyes in the same areas this time of year. And this pot of fish is just still going off the left side here. Just a lot of fish. And maybe I'll just go ahead and take another screenshot. I'll just show it to you guys. But the left side of the graph is just absolutely loaded right now. Just like you would want it to be. And I'll kind of circle back through here. We'll go a little bit shallower this time and see what we see. So now I'm in about 10 feet. I'm looking up to about 7 feet of water and probably out to about 12 feet of water right now, just based on how far my side imaging is shooting. I'm just gonna keep cruising it through. A lot of times, you know, if you're fishing this shallow in clear water, I would say if you're just generally looking for fish, use the big motor. If you're like circling back on a spot as the day goes on that had fish on it previously, use your trolling motor so you don't spook as many of these fish, because driving over them, zigzagging on top of them like this, I'm definitely gonna spook some of these fish. Now, a lot of times, like let's say you fish this lake a whole bunch of times and you wanna check a spot that you already have waypoints on, use your trolling motor or use your big motor and stay way off that edge. You know, stay 70, 60 feet away from those fish when you come back through with, you know, to look for them to see if they're there. All right, so now we're seeing some start of some nice rock off our left side here up shallow. I'm just gonna keep kind of cruising around. Now, a lot of times if you have very thick rock, you're never gonna see fish in it because it's like a hard return on a hard return and you just don't see fish. Side image is great for telling you where there's a lot of character in rock. If you have a nice sand to rock transition, you can see fish on the sand near a rock line, but you will not see fish in rock. So I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of this rock. Given the amount of fish that's on this spot, I can almost guarantee you there's gonna be walleyes in this rock that's off the left side of the boat right now. All right. Yep, so we just cruised past that rock. You can still see some of it off the left, and there's a little pot of fish just in the sand past the rock. And if they're in that sand, I can almost guarantee that they're also in the rock. Not a lot of fish there, but a lot of times fishing these northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota inland style of lakes, you know, you're not dealing with schools like that last school we saw where it was like just a bazillion fish, or like a Great Lakes school of fish. Most time I would say, you know, 8 to 20 fish is a pretty common amount of fish to see in a spot where you'd stop and fish. So definitely a lot going on in this spot. Hopefully a lot of those side imaging shots made sense to you guys and gave you kind of some clarity on a lot of things that we look for. All right guys, so we're gonna show you another spot here. Shallow Main Lake Point. Comes out a long ways, very shallow. The top of this is like 3 feet deep. There's some weeds, rocks, sand, everything on it, and hopefully fish. But you can tell I like the spots that have a little bit of everything. The more diversity, often the better. The larger and slower breaking that flat is, also often the better as well in the spring. So yeah, anyways, we're just coming into it here. We're in 20 feet right now. 18, 17, 16, 15, coming way up shallow. And I'm just starting to peer into it. And all right, so I'm already seeing a bunch of fish up here. And this is just a lot of fish going on already. But I'll take a screenshot for you here. You can tell the right side is my very shallow side here, and these fish are up shallow in here. We're pretty much on sand. There's a little bit of fringe weeds in there. Nothing crazy yet. Got some more fish here. I'll kind of wait till we got just that beautiful side imaging shot to show you guys. We're just kind of going over some tufts of weeds right now. All right, pretty good pot of fish way up in shallow here. So the boat's in 13. We're probably shooting up into 7 feet of water here. And look at off the right side of the boat. And wow, I just took a screenshot, but this one is very good. This is a very, very good screenshot. And this is what a lot of fish looks like up in shallow water. You can see all these fish off the right side of the boat here. And that is absolutely loaded. That's exactly what we like to see. Like I said, I'm kind of on the break. Those fish are up in shallow right now. So I'll just kind of do a pass like right across the top of this thing, out on the tip of the point. And we'll just kind of see what it looks like here. At some point we're gonna get into like some weeds and some rock. All right, so we're still seeing fish. Nothing crazy yet. Surly's like, Dad, why aren't we fishing for those fish? Because we can't yet, Surly. We just can't yet fish for them.
They're in the shopping cart, though, Surly.
Yeah, we got them picked out. They're in the shopping cart. We'll wait till May 1st to purchase.
Confirmed. It's done.
All right, so we got some rock off the right side here. Some real nice chunky stuff. That is exactly what we like to see for sure. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot. So it's not like a big rock field. It's more like just a boulder cluster kind of, or a rock cluster.
Stuff that will hold fish, though.
Yep, stuff that'll definitely hold fish. You got some weeds out here at the tip. It's kind of like pockety weeds. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot for you guys in a second here. I feel like somewhere we're gonna start seeing some fish here on this outside. So I'll take a screenshot, just this little tuft of weeds out here in the tip. Now, off the left side, you can see that little pocket of weeds. There's some fish off the right side. These small little dots are fish out here, out in the sand. And we're just kind of continuing to see more. So on this spot so far, besides that really big pot of fish we saw way up shallow, there's fish all over it. They're just a little bit more scattered. And you know, definitely if you see a pot of fish like that first big pod we saw as we rolled up in here, that's definitely the sweet spot. Now, a lot of times, you know, you might drive by them and see those fish, and then they kind of loop back like we're doing if you were gonna fish for them. So I'll kind of show you them again here. Probably from a slightly different angle this time, unless I already spooked them, but we'll see. And this thing is just like hard rock up on the top. There's just that classic like strip rock up top. And those fish, I guarantee at night, are moving up in there and kind of doing their business.
Well said.
Yeah. All right, so here's this good pot of fish again. They're off the left side right now. Kind of wait till we get thoroughly by them here so the side imaging shot looks very good. About like this right here. And so you can see where I'm at, and those fish are anywhere from 75 feet to about 30 feet off my left. So definitely a pretty good pot of fish. And that's exactly what you're looking for on a lot of these big points. You know, those fish might not necessarily be relating to the rock or relating to the weeds, but having the ability to use side imaging like this and decipher, you know, where those fish are is really the big thing when it comes to catching more fish, staying on fish, and day in, day out throughout the course of this, you know, shallow water period. You'll be able to catch a lot more fish. Missed it, but pop it. Hooked up. Fish on. Gonna be a nice smallmouth here. Oh yeah, tough to beat. First or second cast with that blade bait there. Man, is that cool or what?
There, boy?
Finding fish, seeing them, casting to them. Find them and catch them. That's what it's about. He's really tussling me down there, Mitchell. Is he a nice one?
Alright.
Oh, he's a nice fish. I mean, look at that. That ain't too bad, huh, Surly? What do you think? He'll do, he'll do. It was just too nice outside to take a cast. You know, it's just been raining for so long now. And there we go. Right there, nice smallie. Come here, buddy. We're just gonna grab you for a quick video showcase. There we go, that little V-rod stuck right in the chin. He actually popped it like 2 or 3 times on that cast, but there we go. Beautiful early season smallmouth right there. And it's just super fun, ton of fun. I know I pretty much say that every time I fish bass, but normally most of the season we do not fish bass a lot, but a lot of fun. Let's let them go. See you later, buddy. All right, side imaging settings, things like that. What am I running? So pretty simple here. I'll try to get the best shot I can here with the GoPro, but to get to your side imaging settings, go menu once you're on. Oh, that was marked, my bad. go menu once you're on the side imaging screen. Now for my sensitivity, I like to keep that right around 10. And keep in mind, this is a Humminbird Helix Gen 3 Mega, right? And but most of them are going to be about the same. So I keep my sensitivity normally 10, 11, 12 right in there. If you put this too high, what you're going to see is everything's just going to get really, really bright, and you don't want it looking that bright. So if you're fishing a very soft bottom area, you can kind of turn that a little bit higher, but for the most part, right around 10 is where I like it. And contrast, 8, 9, the higher you get, it starts to get grainy and super bright. 8, 9's about right for me. Look at these little fishes over here too right now. They're just hanging out right there. But look at these fishes over here too. They're hanging out right there as well. But contrast, I like to keep that about 9. Speed, I like to match that a lot of times to the speed at which I graph at, which is either, generally 4 or 5 miles. 4 or 5 is generally a speed that I like to leave that at. Some guys will say like, oh, you want it up to 10 so it reads faster. That is one way. It just kind of gets very distorted when you do that, especially when you're spot locked. Now, we're spot locked, and naturally this boat's just swinging a little bit, and look how those fish still come up real nice and clear. So I like to keep my chart speed about 4. My palette, I like running palette number 2 for my color, and yeah, that's kind of the deal. Your side imaging range, you can play with that quite a bit, but most of the time I turned it down to 75 for the purpose of this video. Most of the time you guys could probably leave that at like 90 or 100 feet. If you're going to go very shallow, like 5 feet and less, maybe crank it back a little bit, but for most scenarios that's going to work just fine. So Mitchell, you want to do the outro? You want me to do the outro? Hopefully these fine people enjoyed this video. And
yapping so much, just keep doing her, boy.
All right, well, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Just a quick little afternoon out on the water here. Hit a couple spots, showed you guys some fish. You guys always ask for a lot of graph content. I think it's kind of the one reason that a lot of people like watching this channel is we give a lot of information pertaining to the Humminbird units. So great units. If you guys are looking to pick one up, I'll link one down. But actually, I don't even know. They're very difficult to find right now. But yeah. I'll link I'll try to find some places for you guys to buy these things. If you are looking to get a graph this year, get on it early, because it is difficult to get product this year, and everybody across the whole fishing community and outside of the fishing community is obviously having the same problem. But I'll do my best to find a few below. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this channel. We're gonna go film something else probably this afternoon, and stay tuned for more content. I don't know what we're gonna be doing next. Maybe some Lake Superior stuff, we will see. But I do appreciate you guys watching. You want to close it out?
Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to Tom Boley's channel. You didn't say that. You haven't said that yet today.
See you next time.
See ya.